Welcome traders. So today is June 24th and this is my daily recap. I traded FRTT today. I shorted the stock, shorted this parabolic push, and I made about $1,200 today. You can see from my P&L, I got in around 360 average. It was actually much higher, but I added on the way down, and I exited around 261. This is actually very close to bottom ticking this entire move, and it was a pretty good exit, a pretty good entry, and overall I am pretty happy with this trade. So let's break down what happened this morning. When I first came to my desk, PLSM was pushing. This one went from about $3.80 all the way to $19.50. Massive push. And once it started rolling over, once $19.50 got rejected, this was so fast. I mean, you can see from the 1 minute candles. I saw it right here. I didn't buy it, unfortunately, but breakout buyers would have piled in after this break of 12. And you can see makes a new high, and from this point on, went from 11 to 19, doubled, almost $10 in a matter of 2 minutes, and it slowly faded after that. So when I saw FRTT on this push, I knew that a lot of people who missed out on PLSM, momentum traders who missed out on PLSM, or hunting for the next PLSM, they would have piled in on this stock. They would have piled in on this long and looking for another crazy parabolic move like PLSM. So I took a quick look at the daily, and I knew the intraday resistance was at 450. When it pushed to 650, I could not short it. You can't really short the first candle. At least based on my strategy, you can't really short the first candle because you don't know where it's going to end up. You don't know the volume, you don't know the push, and you don't know where it's going to find resistance. So I kind of have to wait until I can see some weakness and where short sellers are establishing their level of resistance. So I know on the daily, 450 was a level. And I mean, I would have loved to have shorted above this 450. I think the correct entry here would have been above the 5 on this wick, anywhere on this wick. And you will look for the fade or the rejection at the 450. That's if you get in early, getting in on the reversal. But these things are so tricky and so hard to time, because if you get it wrong, there is no telling how far this thing can go. So let's break down the news on FRTT. Now, this ticker on June 8th got permission from NASDAQ to list for trading. Shortly after, they hired a few PR companies to promote their company. They pushed a lot of buzzwords, AI, data center, and this was meant to drive a lot of buzz. Even today, on this push from $2 or I guess $1.86 to about $6.47, I don't even think there was any news today. No recent news. It just went parabolic for whatever reason. And when stocks go parabolic on no news, or rather no recent morning headline, no morning news, you have to be very careful. Typically, it's a pump and dump. And this is kind of what this one was. The news happened on June 8th. The PR companies pushing for this company happened shortly after. Today is June 24th. Almost 2 weeks after their PR stunt. And you really have to be very cautious when you're shorting and going long, because you really don't know what the news is going to do to the stock. If this 450 holds, we might be looking for a move back above 650. And I'm sure that's what a lot of people are thinking. It's very important to realize that in the market, that the market can remain
FRTT
irrational longer than you can remain solvent. So this thing can push up to $8, but we know this company is probably junk and it's probably going to fade back down. So with that in mind, let's go into the trade. These were my entries and exits.
PLSM.
I was looking for this breakdown at 375. To be fair, looking at this, looking at this chart right now, my entries were not the prettiest. I would have preferred getting in on these pops, but I saw this rejection about 490 and 450. I got in, I believe, closer to $4. There was some slippage, and when I noticed it rolling over and fading below this 370, I added it. And I did not exit below $3 because I know from my stats, I was anticipating a move below $2. So I want to hold below $2. And honestly, at this point, there was no real reason to. The stock is fading. You short the fade, you're green. I mean, typically when you short, you don't want to cover when the stock is still behaving as you expect it. And I guess a more precise exit would be a break above this candle, because I didn't realize it at the time because it was moving so fast, but it was actually hugging this VWAP. So VWAP here is 305, this is 309. So I guess a perfect exit would have been 310 to 320 on this pocket right here. But regardless, I wasn't really too worried. My average at the time was pretty good. I was really risking this $5 is too much, but probably on 420, 430. I knew that even if it breaks $4, the chance of it getting rejected was very, very high. And that's kind of where my thought was. You see these bottom wicks at 420. It would have to push and break above this and reclaim. And for the majority of this morning, you can see it doesn't really trend that high above VWAP. Even technically, even on this push, I mean, you're right at VWAP still, aren't you? VWAP here is 633. This one was at 647. So I wasn't that worried. I actually went back to break even a little bit red here. But when you're looking for the maximum fade, you have to hold it and respect your risk levels. So I knew what my risk levels were. I knew what I could and could not do. And I was able to hold through this. Now, you can always say, well, you should have covered below $3 and re-short onto this push. Well, of course, we're looking in hindsight. We don't know that this was going to happen. Remember, I expected this to get back below $2. And when it didn't do that, you have to set a hard risk level that you have to get out at. I mean, these parabolic runners and fades, they happen so fast. So there's a good chance it'll whip back up to $6 and come right back down and take me out. So you have to realize, because of that, you set a hard risk level. I knew 450 was a daily level. You can see here, around 450. So that's kind of what I was anticipating. And I'm sure that's what a lot of long traders and short sellers were thinking as well, that this 450 was a very critical point. Granted, the stock has very, very low flow, about 800,000 shares. So you also have to keep in mind how volatile it can get. And there are no real bag holders in the stock right now. So it is a little bit dangerous because, first of all, prior to today, you can kind of see there was no real volume aside from this day here. We're pushed from 280s to 360, closed at $2.15. So, above 450 blue skies, below that, it's a lot of chop. But let's go look at the news today. So, June 8th, it came up with news stating that it got permission from NASDAQ to be listed and open for trading. Shortly after, the company hired a lot of PR companies to push the stock news. And this timing is very suspect because it kind of enforces this pump and dump idea into the ticker. And you can kind of see this happening in real time too, the fade. I exited the stock in the 260s. I actually bottom ticked it. I didn't know at the time, but this leads to my next point, where if you see what happened after, this area here, a lot of volume started pouring back in. And this is what I mean when I say pump and dump, because 4 technology shares are trading higher after the company announced and signed a non-binding letter of intent. I don't even care what the rest of it is. A non-binding letter of intent, especially in penny stocks, in microcap, means nothing. It's not binding. There is no real discussion. It's a non-binding letter. It's a piece of promotional news. It's a piece of paper with AI and data center and random buzzwords written on it, so they can push a headline and promote the stock. So because of that, now I don't know if that's true, but from what I read, that's my thesis. That's what I think. And because of that, I mean, this stock was it's just not good. Just not good to buy. This is why it did not push higher. This was a liquidity grab. This big push was meant to squeeze out retail and shorts. So that's my trade for today. Entered at 360, exited around 260, made $1 per share. And yeah, that's it for now. So hope you guys stay green, and I'll see you guys in the next one.